What's up, everyone? Welcome to episode 32 of the BritHick with Connor and Aaron. We're in the same room for the first time since fucking October. So we've decided that we're going to do something in this episode that we can't do when we're speaking to each other remotely, which is have a bloody drink and talk about what we're drinking and go from there. So, got 6 glasses in front of me. I've got 3 whiskies. And what we're going to do is we're going to go through them. And we're going to discuss them because they have some tenuous links to recording artists. So I guess, which one do you want to start with, Connor?
I don't know. Like, do we? So obviously, for context, we've got 2. What would you say? Like, would you call them signature whiskies? I don't know.
Collaboration
whiskies.
I guess. Yeah.
And then we've got some Jim Beam. Do we start with the Jim Beam as like...
Yeah, I guess we can start with the Jim Beam. So the lineup is... So the yardstick is Jim Beam White Label, which I bought for 13 quid from a supermarket. Then we've also got Heaven's Door Tennessee Bourbon, which is the Bob Dylan co-created, co-founded, supposedly, bourbon. Funny enough, this stuff on the front here, that's because in his kind of post-music career, Bob Dylan as a hobby creates artwork with iron, and that's a gate that he's created over time. And then it's called Heaven's Door because of Heaven's Door, knocking on Heaven's Door. They got in a bit of trouble though because there's actually a distillery called Heaven Hill.
Oh, okay.
And Heaven Hill tried to sue Heaven's Door about it, but we don't actually know. I can't find where this is sourced from.
Okay.
Although looking in the news, it looks like they're actually going to open their own distillery, so they'll go from the whiskey being sourced from somewhere else to being its own distillery, so it's making its own stuff.
Okay.
So we'll start with the Jim Beam. Full disclosure, this is open already. The other 2 whiskies we are opening fresh, and we're taking tiny, tiny snifters. I have comedy small glasses.
We're in pints of whiskey.
Yeah. They're not Glencairns, so we're not going to be giving fucking tasting notes, and neither of us are particularly well-seasoned whiskey drinkers. I should thank Ollie, if he's listening, because Ollie asked us previously about reviewing the Slipknot whiskey. I couldn't get any, and it was a little bit more expensive. It was a little bit rich for my blood, whereas the Heaven's Door came in at £49, reduced from 65.
Oof.
And the Jim Beam's 13 quid. And the other one that we are going to review is Virginia Black, which is a whiskey. It can't be called a bourbon because they've put colouring in it. So this is a collaboration that involves Drake. He is 100% in it for the money. He's made no bones about it. He does not really drink whiskey. He is a white wine spritzer man, according to the bars in the LA area. I know where this comes from. So that is sourced from MGP, which is a large distillery that don't make any of their own... they don't sell any of their own whiskey. It's all made for other companies. And it's a blend of a 2-year, a 3-year, and a 4-year MGP bourbon. So they've bought the whiskey from them and then bottled it and sold it under their own name. So it's 100% a money-making process.
The bottle looks like a fragrance bottle.
Yeah, it's very... Also, they made a massive faux pas by saying, we're going to make a whiskey tailored for women.
Oh, have they actually?
Yeah.
Oh, I was about to say, and I don't mean this as a I didn't mean this as a flipping...
As a
slight or anything. I was like, it's a very feminine... I know it's a generalisation. It's a very feminine-looking bottle. Yeah, and actually on the back, the government warning is, according to the Surgeon General, women should not drink alcoholic beverages during pregnancy because of risks of birth defects. I know it says that anyway, but on little beers, you get that little warning on beers and stuff, but...
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting, actually, because would it say that on here? No, there's nothing of that on there.
The thing is that the Virginia Black, is an American bottle that's been imported.
Right.
And I feel like the Heaven's Door potentially is a UK market
that's
one.
what we've got the drinkerware.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the Virginia Black's a 750ml bottle, and the Heaven's Door is a 700ml bottle. 750ml is more US stuff, and the 700ml is more UK stuff.
Okay.
But
yeah, it's very feminine looking. Like if you didn't know what this was and you saw it on a shelf in a like a fragrance shop, you wouldn't bat an eyelid.
No, we said that about the American Eagle that I've got upstairs as well. It looks like a cologne bottle.
Yeah.
Also, to me, that looks more like a brandy style bottle.
This.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Than a traditional whiskey bottle. It does look like a 70s cologne, doesn't it?
I guess you could say it's ornate.
Yeah.
If you wanted to be kind.
Yeah, I'd say that the Heaven's Door one is the more clean bottle.
Yeah.
And obviously the Jim Beam bottle is the Jim Beam bottle. Everyone knows what it looks like because it looks kind of like a Jack Daniel's bottle.
I mean, it's clever because it's going to stand out.
Yeah.
And whether you like the aesthetic or not, it's like if that was on a bottle, obviously on a shelf of like other bottles, especially of whiskey, that's going to catch your eye.
Well, the reason I bought it was because, one, it was reduced. I'd never heard of it before, and it popped up on Amazon. And I was like, the bottle's interesting. I haven't seen it before. Like, I haven't seen anything about it. Then it was like, oh, it's a tie-up with Drake. And I was like, it's going to be funny to just try it anyway, just to see what it's like. It's in the same price bracket as my favourite bourbon, which is Four Roses Small Batch. So it's going against tough competition. But let's go with the Jim Beam first to see what it's. It smells like bourbon. It's like, it's got that like sweet caramel.
Smells like time I nearly died.
Well, that was Scotch.
Yeah, I know. We'll go into that later.
I find with bourbon that it's a lot more sweet than Scotch.
Yeah.
A lot. Because I'm not a massive fan of like that malt smell. Whereas bourbon by law has to be 51% corn minimum.
Okay.
It doesn't have to have barley in it, whereas most Scotches are 100% barley malt. And they don't have any other grains in them. Yeah, it's like I said before, because I bought that for my birthday just to have something like nice and cheap to drink.
Yeah.
It's just kind of simple. Like, it's got that kind of rounded bourbon warmth. There's nothing like particularly.
There's no harshness to it at all.
No.
And this is obviously, it's neat as well.
Yeah. And I should say, I'm not normally a neat whiskey drinker. I normally drink it in like a cocktail, like an old fashioned or a sour, or I have it with Coke. So I'm not gonna sit here as like the authority of like whiskey tasting and stuff like that. But it's, yeah, so that's the yardstick. So we can just like go between those. So do you want to go up in price, or do you want to start at the top and go down?
I want to start with the Heaven's Door because I don't know what to expect from this.
Okay.
From the Virginia Black.
Which
also sounds like a stripper name.
Also, not from Virginia. I think it actually says on it that the whiskey, like somewhere on it, that the whiskey isn't from Virginia.
Oh, Christ. We're off to an absolute flyer.
Because it's from Indiana.
Yeah, for Virginia Black LSE, West Hollywood, California. Not from Virginia. Bottled by Virginia Black, Lawrenceburg, Indianapolis.
Yeah, so because it's Indiana.
Indiana, sorry, not Indianapolis.
Indiana is MGP. If it says like distilled in Indiana, it means that it's MGP whiskey, basically. There are other distilleries and like whiskey makers off to a good start because it's got a cork rather than a screw top, like on the Jim Beam. There are other distilleries in Indiana, but there aren't very many that are going to have international distribution. So if you're getting stuff over here in the UK that's going to be Indiana, and it doesn't say like that it's distilled by a specific company, it's going to be MGP. Like, even, I'll put it this way, Bullet make their own bourbon. However, the Bullet Rye, which I've got upstairs, is MGP rye. They outsource the rye whiskey that they sell to MGP, which I think is Midwest Grain Products or something. I think that's what that stands for.
I was going to say, what does that stand for?
I think it's Midwest Grain Products. Right, so Heaven's Door, because it's a Tennessee bourbon.
Thank you.
I believe in the same way that Jack Daniels is a Tennessee whiskey, this has to go through what they call the Lincoln County process, which is something that's trademarked for Tennessee, and it's what is meant to differentiate Jack Daniels from other bourbons and stuff. And I used to think it, but I've been kind of put in my ways, is that Jack Daniels qualifies as a bourbon. So, but it's a Tennessee whiskey because of this other process.
Okay.
So all Tennessee whiskeys can be a bourbon, but not all bourbons can be a Tennessee whiskey, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Also, there's this weird thing where apparently bourbon can only come from Kentucky, and that's wrong. Like I've just said, that MGP is from Indiana, and there's loads of bourbons that come from MGP, which is Indiana. However, Tennessee whiskey has a trademark on the Lincoln County process, which is before it goes in the barrels, it gets filtered through charcoal. So when they distill it, it goes through charcoal and then it gets barreled. And it's meant to clean it up, taste-wise. But it also means that the taste itself can be a little bit more sterile because it's getting some of the stuff out. So Gentleman Jack that I've got upstairs, it's filtered twice, which is meant to make it smoother. But that was one of the first ones that I tried, and I really liked it. However, now that I've got more into bourbon, I went back to it and I was like, it tastes of nothing. There's just nothing going on with it. But yeah, so Heaven's Door. So this is the most expensive one. This was £49, reduced from 65.
Premium products.
The most expensive bourbon that I've bought.
Yeah.
But I thought, do it for the crack. I was like, oh, fuck it, why not? Because there's way more, and I can tell that that's Tennessee. It's got that Jack Daniels-y tinge to it. Can you smell it?
Yeah, I like that. I can definitely smell the difference. I'm just trying to think of how to describe it.
It's not charcoal, but there's. Hang on, because this is going to suck. Because I've just spent that, and if this tastes like Jack Daniels, I'm going to be pissed. Because I'm not a massive fan of Tennessee whiskey. Hang on, I'll get that. I'm going to go get that American Eagle. Well,
okay.
I haven't got any bloody small snifters, but I've got Jägermeister branded shot glasses. So we'll go with these. Right. So this is a Tennessee bourbon whiskey. Right?
Okay.
The same as that is a Tennessee bourbon whiskey. I didn't want to get the Gentleman Jack because I thought it's a bit kind of on the nose.
So this is American Eagle, just to see.
Yeah, so this, weirdly, is a whiskey that you can't get in America, as far as I can tell.
Oh.
So it's completely outsourced to the UK. So I don't know who makes this either. So this is 43% alcohol. Imported by Halewood. What's that? That's 42% alcohol. So we can go with that. Hopefully they're not. Also, this is another very cologne looking bottle, isn't it? This is an oversized cologne bottle. Have a sniffer of this. Yeah. There's a lot more apple on the American Eagle, but that might be because it's sap.
That's it. I'd say the American Eagle is more. It's like a bolder smell.
Yeah.
It's a bit more.
It might be because of the glass, but
I don't want to say aggressive smelling. Like
it's in a sound wave thing. It's more trebly. Is the way that I describe it. It's that kind of like spiky, aggressive kind of smell.
This smells warmer.
Yeah.
The Heaven's Door. Yeah.
Which one are you going to have a taste of first?
I'm going to try the American Eagle.
Eagle first. This is the American Eagle 12-year, not the 4-year, which you can buy. It's really spiky.
Yeah, it hits the back of your throat straight away.
Yeah.
Which the Jim Beam doesn't
at all, no. I think of, like, Jim Beam's like quite, if you think of like an EQ, I've said this to other people and they understand what I'm saying, like an EQ curve or like a ADSR curve. Jim Beam's kind of like rounded, where it's like it kind of eases in and goes out, and it's like just quite warm, but not like lots of low end.
Yeah.
Whereas the American Eagle's like all high mids and high end, because it's like you can taste the alcohol in it.
The aftertaste is a lot mellower than you think from the initial sip of it.
Yeah.
And you kind of get that appley.
Yeah. Do you feel like that? Can you feel like you can kind of taste the charcoaly
Have another sip.
thing in it? Because I feel like that you can sometimes have that like in Jack Daniels as well, like where the aftertaste is almost like cigarette butt.
I'm not getting that from this.
No.
I would say like this is definitely. I know it's not one of the drinks we're comparing, but because you just mentioned Jack Daniels, this is definitely nicer neat than Jack Daniels is.
Well, you'd expect it to be. It's 12 years old.
Oh yeah. But like just like for a touch reference, like yeah. It's quite. It is like it does hit very quickly, like it does like hit your throat kind of thing, and initially, but it's not aggressive.
Yeah,
it is a nice. It mellows out quickly.
Yeah, compared to like
for someone who doesn't like, I don't mean me. I like whiskey, but for someone who doesn't like whiskey, it might be a bit too much. Maybe like I'd say the Jim Beam wouldn't be. I think.
By comparison, the Jim Beam's like really.
Yeah,
like,
I think that would be a really good, like, for want of a better phrasing, like entry point for someone who wanted to try neat like bourbons or whiskies who wasn't too keen. That's a pretty welcoming.
Yeah,
like drink.
But it's not too challenging, right? So let's go on to the Heaven's Door. So now I've gone to this, I can smell fuckloads of honey.
Yeah, it smells really sweet,
and honey. And like, I can't smell that. What I was saying about the Tennessee bourbon smell that I get.
Yeah,
it's gone now. This almost smells like Jack Honey.
It's almost like not quite, but almost got a kind of like toffee edge.
Yeah,
like a strong toffee. Not when like one of those I don't know what you call them. You know, you get toffee that's quite dark and isn't overly sweet.
Yeah, like it's been cooked for longer.
Yeah,
not molasses, but kind of
that kind
getting
of
to. So it's still got like a bit of a aggression to it.
Yeah.
But it dips like real quick. And then the like aftertaste is almost like sweet.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to explain this without like
obviously it's nowhere near as like aggressive as the American Eagle.
So the American Eagle kind of feels like it hits the back of your throat initially. This kind of just feels like it hits like your soft palate a bit.
Yeah, I was getting it around my tongue a bit. Yeah. See, the second sip of this, the American Eagle, it was still hitting me really hard. Whereas the second hit, the Heaven's Door was like, I'm not feeling it anymore. Like acclimatized to it. So one thing I will say about this, like in regards to kind of business stuff with Bob Dylan, is that they've got on their website that this is the only thing branding wise that he's done a collaboration on ever.
Right.
Like in over 50 years of being a musician and everything. I should also say that on the branding, it doesn't have him plastered all over it. I know I said about that this is to do with Bob Dylan on the front, but it's not like...
If you didn't know that, though, that wouldn't be obvious. I didn't know that until you said it.
Yeah.
I just thought it was a really interesting design.
And the only thing to do with Bob Dylan is a quote from Bob Dylan.
Oh, okay.
Which is, we wanted to create a collection of American whiskies that, in their own way, tell a story. And then that's
cool.
That's the only reference to Bob Dylan. Like, it's plastered more on like the website and like the kind of marketing material. But I mean, the bottle's like really subtle but really nice. Like, compared to the Virginia Black, which we'll go on to, where that's like
looks classy. The Heaven's Door.
But
it looks like
there's things on this like that you wouldn't notice unless you've got the bottle in your hand.
Yeah.
So that on the side is raised.
Yeah, I was going to say like embossed, but it's like the opposite of that, isn't it? Yeah.
And then on the back is the symbol.
Yeah.
And like the embossing on the cap, and like the cork is like the top is wooden with a cork. I'm not sure if that's synthetic cork though, but I mean it doesn't really matter too much. But yeah, like I would say Tennessee bourbon or whiskey that goes through the Lincoln County process isn't massively my thing. However, for something a bit different, like I think I prefer the smell to the taste.
Yeah, it's a really nice smell. Really nice smell.
But yeah, and also I should say as well, we're not putting water in any of these because none of them are strong enough to really merit putting a drop of water in them, and they're not particularly oily either. That's kind of more of a over 50% alcohol, where something's or if something's like quite oily, like a Islay Scotch or something. So yeah, we're not really going to do that. Also, I have tested it with Jim Beam and it's fucking horrible. Like so when we're saying about that it does this like with the EQ curve, putting water in it just makes it do that. It's just like the bottom falls out of it and you just get like a little bit of something like kind of really low endy thing. I'm not quite sure what. All of the warmth and sweetness is gone, and then like some weird like spiky high thing that's like not nice.
Turns it's the £10 headphone effect.
Yeah. That's all right, actually. Like, I think that would be good in an old-fashioned. Just give it a little bit more sweetness to go with the smell.
Just to go touch back on what you said about the second sip, like, yeah, that was my third sip, and there's no spike at all.
No, it's gone.
Like, yeah,
whereas, like, I think if we go back to the American Eagle, that's still there, for sure.
Oh, yeah, like, the first time round, that was fine, but in comparison now, it's like, it's so much more like...
Yeah, it's like being scratched by something.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's so interesting, like, the differences you know. Like, it's going to sound really obvious, but the differences you notice when you go between. But, like, yeah.
I'll go back to the Jim Beam as well. Like, after having a wee sippage. It kind of... It's got more simple.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's going from really aggressive American Eagle and then the Heaven's Door, like, sweet molassesy smell, and then, like, not as aggressive as the American Eagle, but still kind of got some in there. You go back to the Jim Beam and it's like, oh, there's like no taste.
Yeah, it's just one thing.
Bourbon taste.
The Heaven's Door has definitely been like the Jim Beam's nice, and they're all been nice, but the Heaven's Door is definitely like the best.
Yeah, the American Eagle gives,
which is
like,
good considering like how
price,
much it costs.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, really, really, really nice.
Okay, so moving on, we're going to Virginia Black American whiskey and
American whiskey drink.
American whiskey drink. Yeah. So oddly, I say oddly, when you think about it, it makes a lot of sense because America had prohibition and you had all the bootlegging that happened because of prohibition. When prohibition was lifted, they put a load of laws in place in regards to what could be called what. And America has the strictest laws in regards to whiskey production in the world. Like, stronger than Scotland, stronger than Ireland, definitely stronger than Japan. Japan's, like, they're trying to get on top of that. It's, like, a bit all over the place. Like,
okay.
Japan can, I don't know if it's actually changed now. Japan could source whiskey from Scotland and call it Japanese whiskey.
Right.
And the laws were all over the place. So I think I said earlier that this can't be called a bourbon because it's, from what a lot of people have said, is that it's got caramel colouring in it to make it darker. You can't do that in America to have a bourbon. I'm not gonna start off and saying that this is crap, but the bottle is in like 4 quarters, and the flashing on the moulding,
you can really see it.
You can really see it.
Look, I'm not going to start off by saying this is crap, but I've noticed something that's crap.
There's like flash marks like by the top of the lid, and you won't see them because of the cap. The cap covers it.
Yeah, it's pretty. The bottle looks pretty cheap.
This is like a bar shelf. You have it on like the back of the bar, and someone's like, "Oh, what's that?"
Yeah.
Then you have it.
That's
like,
the thing. It's striking.
Yeah.
But like when you look at it up close, it's like okay.
You can see like the difference in colour.
Yeah, it's an almost what colour would you say? I mean, what would you? It's very dark amber, isn't it?
Yeah, it's almost like a thick caramel.
Yeah, actually, it looks like caramel syrup, like coffee syrup.
Yeah. It's not as dark as like hazelnut syrup, but I mean, for such a small amount, like that's a lot of colour for like not a lot of whiskey in it. So this smells more like the Jim Beam did. Yeah, which makes more sense because they're not. It's not a Tennessee.
Yeah, it's a bit sharper.
Yeah, there's a little bit more going on. They're both the same percentage. They're both 40. So again, going back to the whole like making the most amount of money, and the the laws in regards to whiskey, you can't have it below 40%. It won't be called a whiskey if it's below 40%.
Yeah.
So they've obviously just gone, yeah, we'll dilute it down to 40%.
We'll go in at the minimum.
Yeah, whereas like Heaven's Door is 42, American Eagle's 43. I've got Wild Turkey 101, which is 50.5%. Maker's Mark's 45. So you see like quite a lot of like 43 to 45. And normally when I see that, it makes me think, oh, maybe they've got it diluted down to a point where they're happy with it, but going down anymore is going to sacrifice. Whereas this is just like straight in at 40, dilute that shit as much as possible. So yeah. So going back again, I've got that toffee smell. Like the spike's gone from going back for a second sniff, like completely. So if I go back to the Heaven's Door, that's still like I can still smell that there's a spike on that. Whereas on this, it's like all I can smell is like caramel toffee kind of smell. Not compared to like the honey I got from this. It's actually like a caramel smell. Viscosity wise, that's way thicker.
Yeah,
the aftertaste. What is that?
So weird.
That's like chemical aftertaste.
I was about to say, I'm not just saying it because you said chemical. It's like it tastes really synthetic.
Yeah, that's mad.
That's Yeah, this is.
It tasted bourbony, like to me, and then all of a sudden it was like, fucking
Yeah, that's so odd.
Straight in the fucking. The smell is fine. Like, there's nothing untoward about that.
Yeah,
the
it's
smell.
such a weird taste.
It's fine.
And then it's just like,
bang!
yeah.
Like, now, chemicals, and then chemicals die down, and then normal.
Yeah, that's not enjoyable, and I'm not even just saying this to shit on it.
No.
Like-
Like, I mean, the thing is that this was a collaboration between Drake and a guy who was very well known and made a lot of money blending tequilas.
Mm.
And they went and did that. Like, they went in on this joint venture. So, I mean, it's not that he was just picking something at random, and like, it was backed by a guy who made his money in alcohol. But yeah, the fucking. I want to put some coke in it.
Yeah, let's try it. Be interesting to see how that affects it. Like, if it's a lot more complimentary for a mix. I mean, yeah, the chemically taste isn't as pronounced. Like, it's a lot more pleasant with a mix, but yeah,
That's
its own.
Weird. Like, I've never had that. Like,
yeah, that was strange.
Like I said, that I'm not like a neat whiskey drinker. Every whiskey that I buy, I will try neat just so that I know what it's like. I've never ever had that.
Same. That was like,
I wasn't expecting that at all. I was expecting it just to be bang fucking average, like the Jim Beam, maybe a little bit more. But I bought that for double the price of that.
So this was like nearly 30 quid.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's. Yeah. No.
It's just like fucking hell. And I don't know, like, I should say as well, like, I think this has been imported from America.
Yeah.
Because that's, like, stuck on. Whereas I think on some of the other ones, that UK is on the label.
Yeah.
So I don't know if something's happened in regards to it coming from America, but fucking hell. I don't know, mum. It's weird. Yeah, so aged 2 years, they have to put the minimum. But from what I read, it's 2, 3, and 4.
Okay.
But they have to put the minimum amount.
Right.
If they're going to do it. And 2 years is the minimum amount for a bourbon, I think. For it to be in cask. The other thing as well is that with bourbon compared to Scotch, bourbon has to go in new oak.
Okay.
The barrels can't have been used for anything else. Scotch has to be used for something else before. And normally it's bourbon barrels. So they've shipped the bourbon barrels to Scotland for the Scotch to go in.
Okay. It hangs around that taste. Like, I've still got it.
I wasn't gonna fucking. I didn't want to have to do the whole like shit on
product
that was purely.
Honestly, right. Part of me wanted to see that one last. I was like, what if it surprises us and it's really nice? Like, no preconceptions. You know what I mean? It's just like, yeah, okay. Like, Drake's not renowned for being a whiskey man or anything like that, but it's like, okay, let's put the preconceptions aside and like. And I was like, if we try it last, maybe it will surprise us, but.
It has surprised us. That's the problem.
Yeah, not in a good way. That taste is just hanging around. It's really weird.
I mean, I wasn't expecting it to all of a sudden be, it was really fucking good. But,
I thought, maybe it'll be it. I didn't think it would really exceed like the Jim Beam by much, or it might be a little bit nicer than the Jim Beam, which I like the Jim Beam, but no, that's not
good.
Not pleasant.
No, fucking hell. Shit. Tell you what. Because it's been quite a short episode, I'm going to go get my favourite bourbon and we'll try that last.
Okay.
Because I want to have that. I'm running out of glasses. I'm going to fucking... I've got some comedy skull glasses. That's what we're going to now.
We're going above and beyond.
Scraping the barrel.
Above and beyond for the listeners.
This is how ridiculous it's getting now. You have to remember, I live on my own, and we've gone through 8 glasses. We're on glass 9 and 10. Right, so my favourite bourbon, as mentioned, is Four Roses Small Batch. So this, when it's on offer, as was the Virginia Black, is £29, which is the same. So this is kind of in a similar price point. So this, let's have a look. So Four Roses Distillery, Lawrenceburg, Kentucky.
It's like a potions bottle.
Does look like a yeah. Like the child's drawing of a potions bottle.
I'm here for the aesthetics, everyone. No,
There you go.
Thanks, man.
Give that a bit of a swill. See? Bourbon. Like way closer to the Jim Beam.
Yeah.
But with more going on.
Doesn't punch you in the nose, but I mean that in a nice way.
Yeah, like compared to the American Eagle and like the Heaven's Door, it doesn't have that like high-end scratchy almost like that burny smell. And this is 45%, so this is the strongest one.
The Four Roses, yeah.
Yeah. So you can taste the alcohol in it, but it's really like
that drops off really fast, like in a good, like in a nice way. Like you get that initial bit of heat, but it simmers down very quickly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like that.
But not with. We're not saying that like the taste disappears.
No, the taste increases. It's just that initial like
whiskey burn.
Bang. It's just it dissipates like very quickly.
Yeah. Compared to like the Jim Beam where it was like it kind of eases in and out.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. You go back to the Jim Beam and it's like there's just like nothing there. Whereas I feel like this is almost like a flat EQ.
Yeah.
Of stuff comes in and out, but there's never anything massively overriding. And there's no synthetic taste.
Yeah, that's so unusual, man. Like
so weird.
If you like whiskey, don't get Virginia Black.
Yeah, don't get Virginia Black. Fucking hell.
Sorry, Jake.
Sorry, buddy. That is not good. So that, what am I going to do with it? That's the problem now.
Yeah.
What the fuck are we going to do with it?
I feel bad that you bought it for us to do this. It's bloody awful. Oh.
I should have stuck to not going for something for a comedy punt, and I probably should have just like looked a little bit harder.
The silver lining is we can give an honest appraisal of that now, and we just be like, oh, I bet it's shit because it's Drake's. It's like, well, we tried it and it isn't good. Sorry, guys.
Maybe we should have gone for the because we'll do the carry on with the discussion about because now we've tried all the whiskies. Is the discussion that stems from this, which is celebrity collaborations and branding with other products that aren't directly involved with them.
Yeah.
So whiskey, I feel like, is a more recent thing. And we said about the Slipknot whiskey recently, but they were quite clever with it because obviously, if you know Slipknot, you know that they're from Iowa. And Iowa is the corn capital of America.
Okay.
Bourbon
Isn't Bakersfield the corn capital of America?
Oh!
Sorry.
Break out that old, what was it, the rivalry that they had in like the late 90s. And bourbon has to be 51% corn. Makes sense to make a bourbon. They're also getting it from an Iowa distillery. So it's a good kind of matchup between the two of them.
Yeah, I didn't know that. That's fair. They've obviously put some thought into it.
Yeah, so there's been some thought into it. So I'm like, okay, all right. Again, I didn't get it. It's it's 65 quid.
Yeah.
I can't really get it. The other ones, so I was looking at like other kind of collaborations for like whiskey, and then we've seen beer quite a lot.
Oh, yeah.
So like Trooper, Road Crew, which was like the Motorhead one, and I found out that like Motorhead did a whiskey, and that I was kind of a bit sus on, because obviously Lemmy was so synonymous with Jack Daniels, and the whiskey that they've put out isn't a bourbon,
Right.
and it isn't a Tennessee whiskey. It's a single malt from Sweden.
Right.
And I was there kind of like, I don't think, because I was like, oh yeah, the band like went in and looked at it and this stuff. And you can't say that they didn't. However, at the same time, that's not what they were known for.
Yeah.
So I feel a bit like that was almost like they licensed the brand off without anything actively happening with it.
Yeah.
The other one that I've thought of is like colognes.
Okay.
Like, so the Johnny Depp Sauvage.
Oh, yeah,
like,
yeah.
The Britney Spears one that I can't remember the name of. And yeah, I don't know.
No, I'll search it while we're talking.
But it's one of those things where I'm just like, how much involvement
do you have?
Do these people have? Like, a different one is, which I haven't bought, but I will at some point, is Wild Turkey did a whiskey called Long Branch, which was created in collaboration with Matthew McConaughey. So he went to the Wild Turkey distillery. I don't know if Wild Turkey are owned by someone else. And essentially blended a whiskey, and then via him and other people, I guess, to make it more marketable, put that out as an expression, I guess, like as a bottling, which you can get. And on the bottles and everything, it doesn't really state it. I think even less than the Heaven's Door. I think when they launched it, they kind of lent on it a bit. But after that, they were just like, well, it's a part of our lineup. Like, yes, Matthew McConaughey was involved. But I don't know if they were like, well, we don't want to keep having this like celebrity collab. They don't want to like rely on that as a crutch. And they wanted to stand by the whiskey itself. But that's another way that it's been done, is that it doesn't really have a complete tie, where Virginia Black is a whiskey that was entirely made up and behind the scenes was to do with Drake. Heaven's Door is Bob Dylan's, he's a co-founder of the company and they've done their own thing. Whereas the Wild Turkey Long Branch, Wild Turkey was its own historical distillery and they have all of their own stuff. And then they did something in collaboration with someone else and then put that out.
Yeah.
Which again is different. And when I was thinking about the colognes, normally it's like that, is that they'll tie a celebrity to a cologne, but it's made by like Yves Saint Laurent or Paco Rabanne or like something like that. But I'm trying to think of like other, because you get branding, don't you? Where the thing gets, we've seen it before when like the Slayer t-shirts were in H&M and stuff. It's like the brand gets licensed and whacked on whatever the fuck they want to do. Whereas these things are a collaboration. It's not just licensed. It's meant to be, no, they actually like it. They're going in and they're involved in the process of developing the product. And I was trying to think of like other things that you might see where celebrities are doing something like that. I think George Clooney had a tequila.
Okay, right.
And and it might be hearsay, but I think he said something along the lines of, "I don't need to act ever again. This has made me so much money, like I can just retire on this now."
Wow. Okay.
And I don't know what the tequila was. But I think he was quite heavily involved in that.
Yeah.
But behind the scenes as well, I think he was like an ambassador, but I don't think he was plastered all over the bottle.
Yeah. The Rock's got a tequila.
Oh, really?
Yeah. What's it called? I was gonna. Oh, the Britney Spears fragrance. There's actually a few apparently, but Fantasy is the one that kept coming up.
Right. Okay.
So maybe that's the one.
Yeah.
Sorry, just gonna hop on the old Insta of the Dwayne Johnson.
I'm trying to think of like other things that you would potentially see as a brand that like would have a collaboration with someone. So it's like I'm trying to think of like some other ones that have like come up. Band beer.
Yeah,
we said about
yeah.
Trower and stuff before, but like there was a brewery that I can't remember the name of the brewery now that kept putting out collaborations with like Red Fang, Mastodon, Behemoth, and it was always the same brewery would do something that was tailored on the band's preferences.
They were mentioned on a podcast the other day I was listening to. I'm going to check this out. So the Rock's tequila is called Terramana.
Right.
But it's not marketed with him on it. So I don't know if it's it's like a kind of endeavour, like it's his brand, but he's not used as like the face.
He's not
kind of thing.
Yeah. He's not a spokesperson for it. He's just involved in the back end.
Yeah. Where the bloody hell? Is it Signature Brew?
I don't know.
They do a lot of stuff with like bands.
Maybe.
Signature Brew.
So there's that, and then one that I guess was completely sincere was when Flesh God Apocalypse put out like wine and pasta.
Oh, sweet, yeah.
So they did a red wine and a white wine for an album launch, and then they put out pasta as well.
Yeah.
But that was off their own back. That wasn't like, well, I'm assuming that there was stuff behind the scenes, but it wasn't like blah, blah, blah wine in collaboration with. It was, this is Flesh God Apocalypse wine. You get it from Flesh God Apocalypse's website.
Yeah.
And the same with the pasta. This is Flesh God Apocalypse pasta. You get it from Flesh God Apocalypse's website. So I guess they kind of like they must have sourced it from somewhere.
Yeah.
Got it as a white label and then put their own stuff on it. But yeah, it's just like, it's one of those things. Like I don't know where the sincerity line lies. I guess would be the best way to put it.
Yeah, I mean, you see this a lot with like, not to bloody always draw it back to like music and stuff, but with like artist endorsements and signature gear and stuff as well.
Yeah,
because I think especially for guitars, like there's two schools of like signature instrument. There's one, it's like you can clearly see that artist has had a lot of involvement in the development of that particular instrument.
Yeah.
They've either designed something new or adapted an existing design in a way that makes it either like it's facilitated to their like playing style or such, or like aesthetic or whatever. And it's like, oh yeah, that's the thing. Where, there's like, yeah, we've just slapped this person's signature on this and given it a different finish.
Yeah, so
the Billy Joe, like, not to slack Billy Joe Armstrong off, like, I've got nothing against the guy, but a Billy Joe Armstrong, like, Gibson thing just springs to mind. It's like you're paying twice over for like what is essentially just a Les Paul Junior.
Yeah,
there's nothing different about that.
Yeah, it's the one. What was the one that I was just? The one that I was thinking of was the Bill Kelleher, the single cut, because I'm not quite sure why they did that. I don't know if they like rushed it, because I think the reason he left Gibson was because he wanted his own shape.
Yeah,
and they said no, and did I discuss this last week? I don't know. That there was a load of on the second signature that he did with Gibson.
Yeah.
It wasn't how he wanted it to be because Gibson got involved with like, oh no,
We were talking about this off cast.
Right.
Yeah.
And then he jumped ship essentially, and he went to ESP. And I'm wondering whether or not that single cut model that they did was like a stopgap whilst they got the shit in place so that they could do the Sparrowhawk.
Yeah, because it was basically just an Eclipse, wasn't it?
Yeah, so it was a full thickness Eclipse with different. It was 2 knobs instead of 3.
Yeah, and like a special finish.
Yeah, and it was like so things that you could do quite quickly because the production part of it is there. So I'm wondering whether or not those were done just to announce that he was on the roster whilst they developed the Sparrowhawk and got like the tooling in place and everything.
Yeah.
And I can't think of like a single other artist that like has released, I don't want to badmouth it, but like an intermediary signature model. Because it was only out for like a year.
Yeah, not long at all.
Because even like when I think of like people that like jump ship a lot, like Michael Amott did it a lot. But even when he jumped to Dean from ESP, I think he was just playing Dean V's, and then they gave him
the Tyrant.
Yeah. So there was no in between signature model. It was like he played production guitars, and then he had a signature. Dave Mustaine jumping from conversely Dean to Gibson. Instantly, the signature models are there for him to use. So it was such an odd thing for that to have taken place. Because when it was like, oh, you're going to have a new signature model, and everyone was like, oh, what's it going to be? And then it's like, oh, it's Eclipse. It's got a different finish, and it's got his pickups in it. It's like, and everyone was kind of like, I don't know. And then he released the Sparrowhawk, which is like shape, much more befitting of him. But yeah, when it comes to like instruments and stuff, you're saying about that, like sometimes you can tell that they just don't give a shit. Like they just whack the name.
Yeah, and also from the brand's perspective, from the brand perspective as well, you can tell sometimes. And I don't want to be a snob here or a dick, but yeah, it's business and it's about shifting units. I get that, but you can tell sometimes, like, right, we're going to give this person a signature model because we will sell a lot of them. So the Pete Wentz bass, not renowned for being a particularly good bass player.
No,
but Fall Out Boy were probably like at the time one of the biggest bands.
Yeah,
like even in terms of like this is when bands still even at that point still sold records. So yeah, put out and it was clever as well because they did it. It was obviously Fender. It was a P bass, but it was Squire. They'd never done a Fender model.
Yeah,
the majority of that fan base is not going to be able to afford a Fender. So it's clever and it's like, and I don't mean that in a cynical way. It's like, yeah, it's good business.
Yeah,
but that's purely like we're going to give this person a signature model because of their status,
rather than their ability.
It isn't like you know, and it's it's apples and oranges, isn't it? You know, because it's like, well, to have a signature model, you have to have some kind of status, but
yeah, it's we've said this before, haven't we? It's like you could be the most talented guitarist or musician in the world, but like you need to play shit that people want to listen to.
Yeah.
And that's something that is difficult, especially with stuff like this. Like one of the weird ones that I was thinking of was the Vortex signature Warlock. Because obviously they didn't do that for very long because it got kicked out of Dimmu like not that long after. But it was essentially the Warlock as is, but with soap bars instead of P pickups, and like the like the swirly finish on it, which was god awful. I'd put that in my top 10 of like worst signature models. Trying to remember like other signatures where they just haven't, like, they might as well have just been playing like the regular version of it. But it's,
as much as I love a lot of Strats.
Yeah, like, well, I can't think. Can you think of us like a signature Strat?
Yeah. This is absolutely mind blank. Robin Trower Strat.
Oh yeah, the one that I would say it's not a Strat, it's a telly.
They used to do the John Mayer Strat,
which is now the Silver Sky, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. I can't. You say the SRV, but that's kind of its own thing because it's the kind of like it's the replica.
It's like
obviously.
a heritage.
It's a bit of a different thing there. The Clapton Strat.
Yeah.
But to be fair, that was a bit different in terms of the electronics and stuff. Like, there's a lot of Strats where it's like, it's just Strat.
Yeah.
You know.
I was going to say about like the Richie Kotzen telly is like quite interesting with the setup and stuff. I guess all the Dimebag MLs.
God,
like
the
low end,
they rinsed that out,
the low end ones.
Yeah.
So the ones that don't have his pickups in and everything like that, and it's
fixed bridge, rubbish graphics.
Yeah.
It's like, why are you doing this?
The thing is, though, I feel like in the American market, it's something for people to put on their wall.
Yeah.
It's not ready to be played. It's like, I love Dimebag. I want the graphic of the camo of all the Dimebags on it because it goes on my wall. And like, I can think of so many bars.
I heard you like a dime bag. Stop with a dime bag in your dime bag.
Yeah.
See the dime bag with your dime bag.
So you could just fucking
yeah.
So many bars and stuff that would have shit like that, like strung up. Like not in the UK because we're not really a guitar music country, but America's like still is in a lot of places. I remember even at a hockey game, The Darkness was playing like in New Jersey, and I was like,
brilliant.
What the fuck is going on? I think they had like Audio Slave as well, like on, and this was like 2015.
Yeah.
So, like, as much as like there's still fucking people that are going to be listening to fucking the same pop stuff that is big in the UK, there's still like a big guitar music contingent.
Yeah.
Compared to here, where it's like, I don't know, like I'm probably sounding a bit sour grapes about it, to be honest, with what I'm saying about it, but it doesn't seem to be prevalent in the general consensus, like, for rock music.
No, it's true. I think, especially, like, I think in America, like, it's something that is still, like, I know people go, oh, it's boomers and stuff, but I think it's something they still hold on to quite dearly in terms of, like, their musical heritage and stuff.
Yeah.
And, like, I think that's good in a way. Like, well, it is good. It's cool, man. Like, obviously, we both love guitar music.
Yeah.
Like, and I wish it was a bit more prevalent in our country as well. Like, not just necessarily like looking back, but like there's loads of new bands that deserve a bit of like limelight, but it's just not. It doesn't have a presence here.
No.
Like, when's the last time you really heard a guitar like in the charts?
No, well, I don't know, but
You know?
I do remember at one point that I scrolled through radio. I mean, this was a while ago.
Yeah.
I scrolled through a load of radio stations, like trying to find something to listen to, and the only thing that had like an actual recorded instrument prevalent was Classic FM.
Yeah.
Like even like Radio 2 was still, it was like electronic music. And I should say as well, we both love electronic music as well.
Oh yeah, this isn't us. It's just slacking off anything that isn't guitars.
I mean, we were listening to fucking Mascarpone. I can't say Mascarpone. I don't know if it's Mascarpone or Mascarpone.
Mascarpone, mate.
Mr. Oizo, and was it Gaspard?
Yeah, Gaspard OG.
Yeah. So we're not slagging it off, but because of that, it's nice to have diversity, I guess, is the thing that I'm thinking of with stuff like this. Is when it's just that one thing rammed down your throat day in, day out, like if you're listening to the radio, it's a bit too much, I guess.
I always compare it to food. It's like, you think of music like food, it's like, I absolutely love curry, but I don't want it for breakfast, lunch and dinner every day.
Could you imagine? I was like, what do you have
It'd be great for a week, and I'd be like, this is awful. Like, what have I done?
What do you have for breakfast? Kedgeree. Breakfast curry. What do you have for lunch? Rogan Josh. What do you have for dinner? I had a tikka. Like, what do you have for the breakfast the next day? I had more kedgeree.
A bit hungry at 11, so I had a pakora.
Oh, I don't know. Like, a lamb samosa for 11s does sound quite good, though. That might be the small amount of whiskey that I've had talking so far.
But yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of, sometimes it's definitely like striking, like I say striking. I think sometimes it's quite obvious to see when it's just like, right, this is a cash grab, like with a celebrity tie-in, or when it's just something so off the wall. Sometimes it's like, I would never associate that person with that. Like
I think Paris Hilton did headphones at one point.
Yeah, I know she kind of like was DJing for a bit, but even so, it's like, no offense to Paris Hilton, like at all. Like, do you know what I mean? No beef with her, but it's like, no. You're not an audiophile, are you? Like,
yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? It's like, but I mean, yeah, it's interesting when you see like collaborations like this, because I mean, we're talking about it, which is what they want. Like when you're doing brands that are tie-ins with,
they undeniably work. That's the thing. They work. They definitely do. Like,
and I should say as well, like this is completely separate, because I said about cologne and stuff. Right, this is separate to when companies hire someone to just be the face. Of something. So, like, did Kate Moss do Chanel?
I think so at some point.
Yeah, but it wasn't in collaboration with. It was like they hired her
to be the face. Yeah,
like when you get the Gillette adverts and it's like the Liverpool football team.
Yeah,
things like that. Like that's different, because that is, we will pay you or we sponsor your team as a requirement. You need to do an appearance or something. Like that's a different thing. Like in summary of this is collaborations where it's meant to be that they had some kind of mental input in the outcome of the product.
Yeah.
Which is where that abomination Virginia Black comes into play. I wonder if it would be alright to use as to baste like a ham.
Well, if you run out of like a Sif, use it in the bathroom. I've got a grubby tap.
It'd be fucking sticky.
Oh yeah.
Not ideal.
Clean an engine with it. Oh, we really have slacked it off, haven't we?
Is it the worst? I don't know. I'll sip it again with Coke now that I've gone away from it. Just weird, man.
Yeah.
Like, it's not... I can't imagine that it's the colouring that's causing that. It's fucking... Yeah.
It's nowhere near as bad when you've got a mixer in it.
No.
But equally, it's not like, oh, this tastes amazing with a mixer. It's just like, oh, it's okay.
Yeah.
Like,
that's going firmly at the back of the cupboard. Right, I guess on that we should round up, because we're gonna write some riffs.
Yeah.
Banging. We will see you all next week. Thanks for tuning in.
Take care, everyone.